Enlightenment is easier than you think. Ask someone who practices Buddhism through the lens of Yang. They'll tell you it's very difficult and it takes a long time. Ask someone who practices Buddhism through the path of Yin, and they'll tell you that enlightenment is very easy and it can be accomplished very quickly. Philosophy 101 would remind us that we first must agree on the verbiage, the terminology, the nomenclature, if you will. What is enlightenment? What if enlightenment was simply mastery of the Buddha's Eightfold Path? But what is meant by mastery? Once we have mastered a skill, any skill, we practice it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. That might sound daunting until we remember that as children, we mastered many skills. We mastered using the commode instead of our diapers. We mastered brushing our teeth, tying our shoes, riding a bike. We even mastered reading and writing and arithmetic. One of the great ironies is that by simply sitting and breathing and watching and resting as little as once every 12 hours or so, we can spontaneously master the remaining 6 folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Perhaps that is why the Buddha taught in the second to the final passage of his discourse on the 4 bases of mindfulness, that one could master his path in as little as 7 days. This is the Dzogchen Semde Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For multiple decades, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. It is Obi-Wan Kenobi Wednesday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. I'm going to take a moment to tend to my guests on the Tube app. No, I'm sorry, on the Clock app. And if you are seeing the visual aids in addition to my funny face, then you're on the Tube app and you're in the prime spot for the optimal experience. The essence of mindfulness is as follows. Every time we passively notice air enter our nostrils, we can silently and mentally recite the verb watch. And every time we passively notice air exit our nostrils, we can silently and mentally recite the verb rest. Together we could call this a round or a repetition. A useful preliminary practice is to gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce at the crown of our head. One of the easiest ways to do that is to practice the Pasadi Mudra, which could be translated as the meditation gesture. It's as simple as using the tip of our left index finger to support the lower knuckle of our right index finger. Palms up in our lap. Now I'm going to take a moment to adjust the camera. Make me look a little bit like Kilroy. So assuming the meditation gestures are terribly useful. It's useful when we find ourselves at the edge of a meltdown. It is useful every night when we lie down to go to sleep in an effort to help us to do so. And it can be useful eventually when we find ourselves on the precipice of the great sleep known as death. Additionally, it's useful for us to keep track of our first repetition of watching and resting. In Bengali crease counting, we work with sets of 13 reps, and that's actually sloppy. What it really is are sets of 1 plus 12. That'll make sense in a few minutes. Let's deal with the first rep. To deal with the next 12 repetitions, we're going to bring our attention to our right hand. And every time we feel ourselves silently and mentally reciting the verb watch as we breathe in, going to advance our right thumb, beginning at the lower set of creases at the base of our right little finger, and concluding with the higher set of creases on our right index finger. Together as a team, let us practice now. Counting 13 reps of watch rest takes only a little bit more than a minute. If we wish to gather 1 plus 12 repetitions, 1 plus 12 sets of 1 plus 12 repetitions each, then I recommend us directing our attention to our left hand. Let us touch the tip of our left thumb to the lower set of creases on our left little finger. From here, we'll count our next 1 repetition. We then return our attention to our right hand to count an additional 12 repetitions. To begin tracking our next single repetition, we advance our left thumb to the next set of creases. And now that you get the basic idea of how we can count a single plus a dozen sets of a single plus a dozen repetitions, let us rest our hands palms up in our lap. The moment you have a specific question about the philosophies or techniques that support mindfulness or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions about once every 14 minutes or so. Remember, it is a mistake to confuse mindfulness and focus. Focus is performed by the medial prefrontal cortex right behind our forehead. When we overuse that region of our central nervous system, it triggers our amygdala at the bottom of our brain, which functions as the seat of both anxiety and aggression. Kind of a bummer. Instead, when we rely on the middle bit of our spinal cord to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, to notice whatever comes up, be it a perception, an emotion, an intention, a thought, a memory, or an imagining. Whether that which we notice is external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque, convenient or arduous. Relying upon this core of our sympathetic nervous system not only calms the anxiety and aggression of our amygdala, but it gently stimulates our anterior cingulate gyrus, which functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy, which is pretty cool. The essence of meditation is to silently and mentally recite the verb rest every time we passively notice air exiting our nostrils. It is a mistake to confuse mindfulness, passive mindfulness, with active analysis. The seat of active analysis is our dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, also behind our forehead. When we overuse it, when we overwork it, we trigger our amygdala at the bottom of our brain, which functions once again as the seat of anxiety and aggression. However, by passively and silently and mentally reciting rest every time we feel our body exhale, we are cooperating with both the tippy top and the very bottom of our spinal cord, which function as the core of our parasympathetic nervous system, which help us to physically relax and mentally release during our exhalation to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel a trifle less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and as non-graspable as a vast empty void. It would seem that a simile is only as useful as it is relatable. Therefore, we must ask the question, what? What is a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although could look tantalizing to the eye, could feel non-graspable to the hand. And so we see that whether we are referring to emptiness or no self, both of these are merely figurative phrases used to describe the fleeting experience latent within each gentle exhalation. To gather our second collection of 13 sets of 13 repetitions each, let us slide the tip of our left index finger from the lower knuckle of our right index finger up to the middle knuckle. Then rest our hands, palms up in our lap. Let us shift gears by bringing or at least inviting our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in our chest. To do that, let us use the Sati Mudra, also known as the mindfulness gesture, wherein we use the tip of our left middle finger to support the lower knuckle of our right middle finger, palms up in our lap. Each time we passively notice our chest swelling with breath, let us silently and mentally recite the verb feel. This is the essence of mindfulness. Every time we passively notice our chest subtly sink as gently we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the verb rest, the essence of meditation. Having sat for the better part of an hour, we might find it refreshing to knock out 8 repetitions of senior citizen squat thrusts. Let us stand with the ball of each foot near the corner, each corner of our yoga mat so that it doesn't go shooting out from underneath us. Let us start with a half squat or a chair squat. Let us walk our hands forward, one in front of the other. Let us articulate our arms. Let us walk back into a full squat. Do 2 repetitions. And then start again. Okay, that's all I've got tonight. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. For Meditate Like a Jedi is made possible thanks to the generosity of viewers just like you. Tomorrow's in approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return for tomorrow's dawn practice of Meditate Like a Jedi. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.